Hello and welcome to JAR City Session 5. For this lesson, you will need the following materials, including your volunteer guidebook, the student name tense, your junior journal worksheet, your certificates of achievement with students' names entered prior to class, or maybe you can have the teacher help you during class. And then also be prepared to access the digital presentation for this lesson found at learn.ja.org. You can work with your classroom teacher to determine whether you or the teacher will be responsible for pulling up the digital presentation each time you visit the classroom. We recommend asking the teacher to have the presentation ready for you if possible. To aid in preparation and facilitation, you'll see in your guidebook blue text boxes that contain session-specific teaching tips written by JA of South Dakota. And you'll also see yellow text boxes that include vocabulary terms and presentation content that's not already in your guidebook. Please start the lesson by greeting the students, redistributing their name tense, and telling them that in Session 5, Let's Build a City, they will get to design many businesses for their city. The next slide showcases a photo of the junior journal worksheet for this lesson. I recommend waiting to hand these worksheets out until after you've explained the activity. Otherwise, students will begin working on the activity as soon as you hand the paper out. Instead, begin by asking students what they believe makes up a city. Brainstorm things that belong to a city or maybe even just their neighborhood, such as businesses, types of homes, and things of that nature. From here, the slide has the Money Flows music video as a warm-up, which features our new character, Jade. Those who are familiar with the third grade curriculum may notice that the cha-ching videos and characters have been removed as JA no longer has license to use these characters. This video will also be available for all 5 sessions of the JAR City program, so it is up to the volunteer's discretion as to whether you play the video during one, several, or all of your visits. From here, you will move on to the lessons activity. Begin by sharing with students that a city is organized into zones. Talk about the different zones in a city using the map on the slide. Emphasize that it is important and it makes sense to zone certain types of businesses and buildings together. Ask students to think about whether they can think of any zones in their town and discuss as a class. Use the next slide to help solidify students' understandings of city zones using the prompts in your guidebook. You may also want to relate zones to the zones of a house or zones of a classroom. For instance, you don't typically find the oven in a bedroom. Why is that? Your classroom has zones for desks. Why wouldn't it be a good idea to have their desk outside or in the gym? Have students explain why it wouldn't make sense to have an oven in a bedroom or to have their desks in the gym or outside. Then relate it back to city zones. It wouldn't make sense to have an airport in the center of a neighborhood, and so on. Go through the types of zones in a city and talk about what businesses or buildings students might expect to find in that zone. Tell students that each of them will be receiving a city building. They will get to decide what types of money choices their business or building gets to make. They also need to decide what zone their building would be in a city, where they would find that. Hand out the junior journals to students at this time. Tell them they must complete the top of their worksheet before they can draw their picture. Give students about 10 minutes to work on this activity independently. Please note that each of the junior journal worksheets has a pre-merged, if you can see that, a pre-merged business on it. So there's 30 different businesses on the worksheet. So no 2 students would have the same. Once students are working, move around the classroom and help students who are struggling. Many students can think of ways for their building to earn and spend money, but they may need some help to brainstorm what their businesses would save money for, such as renovations, new technologies, etc., or give money to. Remind students that they can pick what they want to donate to. Do they want to donate money to rescue animals or buy school supplies for children? The choice is up to them. You may want to leave the next slide up with the city zone map on it for students to reference as they decide what zone their business fits into. Leave some time at the end of the session so students can share their drawings with the class. You could even have some of them share their buildings as they come up to receive their graduation certificates at the end of the lesson. For graduation, please save about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the lesson. Work with your classroom teacher to obtain students' names to fill out the certificates of achievement for graduation on your final visit. If you plan to bring something to hand out to the students after the last session, please have the item pre-approved by your classroom teacher. Most schools are peanut-free and may have other food restrictions or limitations. Make this time special. Call the students up one at a time to receive their certificates and practice doing a business handshake with the students. Teach them to shake your hand properly. So we always say like no limp fish or super squeezers, and shake with the right hand while accepting their certificate with the left. And with that, that brings you to an end of JAR City Session 5, which wraps up the JAR City program. Students can take home all of the materials. You are able to recycle your guidebook if you want, or keep it for the next year. And we just appreciate you being a JA volunteer.